And already it sounded fire.
Well, so, and that's the reason why I kind of make like a bunch of grooves at once. That way you're listening, you'll naturally pick the one that sounds the best versus like, I just make a groove. I'm just going to make this track. Like if you have some choice, you usually end up going with the stronger choice rather than like, I just have this record I'm making. When you're just starting, you should just concentrate on making a clean mix.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Just get good at production.
Get good at production. Like DJing is great. And this is the approach I'm taking anyway, is like I've concentrated on production and not playing out because I want to play my own music out. So like spent 3 years now getting really good at production. I'm okay. Like I'm not great, but I'm signing now. And now hopefully shows will come, right?
Welcome back to the Free Yourself podcast. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ryan Janni, and I am naked. And today we have another very, very special guest. My man, Danner, has just signed Lazy Sunday to Box of Cats. So huge congratulations, brother.
Thank you, my friend. What's going on?
Yeah, man. We were just talking obviously before the podcast how like I heard it at the beginning stages and it's progressed since it was January. It was when you showed me that. It's 6 months. Yeah. 6 months. Within 6 months it got signed and came out. Like freaking so cool, man.
Casually showing you some grooves. So I was like, oh yeah, I came up with this one. I don't know what to do with it. And then,
so for people that don't know, Danner was helping me with music production and has given me a lot more insight into his process, and it's such a cool and unique way, and from the way I've learned, but a lot of similarities as well, because you just, it's always starts with a reference track, right? Like that is one of my, the staples that has always been like, I've always been taught. And when you start with a reference track, you have such a good structure for a song, and all the elements that you want to bring in. So like, it's such a good way for any upcoming producer to start to learn how to produce. Like you're not copying the song that you're referencing. You're using it as a guide to kind of teach you and to remind you and show you like what are all the elements of a song. So take me through a little bit of how Lazy Sunday came to be.
It's interesting. So my process, I always sort of the beginning of the month, I'll sit down and I'll kind of come up with like 10, 15 just grooves, ideas. They don't have to be, some of them are like 4-bar loops, some are 8 bars, some are 16, whatever. I literally just sit down every morning, bang out a bunch of ideas, and then I'll put them into a playlist. I learned this from Ernesto. Like make your grooves, you put them into a playlist, and then when you're just kind of like working around the house, you're out, driving your car, you pop it on and you listen to what you're making. And that's how Lazy Sunday kind of started out. It was just an idea. Me and you had that production call, and I was like, hey, check this out. What do you think? I don't think I had any of the sounds in it, really. It's just like the thick clap hat.
And already it sounded fire.
Well, so, and that's the reason why I kind of make like a bunch of grooves at once. That way you're listening, you'll naturally pick the one that sounds the best. Versus like, I just make a groove, I'm just going to make this track. Like if you have some choice, you usually end up going with the stronger choice rather than like, I just have this record I'm making. So yeah, everything always starts the kick, clap, hat. And like you said, that one groove, just like it already had like that bounce to it. And from there, I just kind of picked out a bunch of different references. I knew it had like a Dirty Bird, Box of Cats kind of vibe. So, I had a couple different reference tracks, and then we came up with the sound. I was playing with a Moog plugin, and we just made this like crazy like slide sound with it that is in like the drop. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Let's kind of make this thing fit. And it was like such a weird kind of funky sound. And I just went with it, and Picked the sample off Most Def record. Like nobody's ever, I'm sure people have heard it, but it's like him talking at the end of a track for 5 seconds. We just like pitched it and changed it a little bit, and that was kind of it.
Hell yeah, man. It's such a cool like little look into your process, because a lot of people that are watching this, like I wouldn't even have thought. I've always been the way I was taught was if you make 4 songs in a month, at least one of them is going to be good and can probably get signed. And so like one of the ways like Cosmic Academy kind of teaches you is like quantity is more important than not more important than quality, but like the more you make, the more better tracks you'll make, because once you go through the whole process, not only will you get better, you'll get better at the whole process from idea to mixing to mastering. If you go through that whole thing, and then you have the opportunity to like, all right, see, that's where the process that you just talked about differs a little bit from what I was taught. Was take those 4 tracks and maybe say it's a Dirty Bird vibe track, send them to your friend, be like, yo, check out these new Claude Von Stroke tracks, which one's your favorite? And then they'll be like, all right, this one's sick, this one's okay, I really like this one. And then you're like, sick, because that's actually my song and I'm trying to sign it to Dirty Bird. But your way, it's taking a lot of that, because that's a lot of extra work to get those 4 tracks to being like done and through that process. So I love the way you just talked about. Ernesto was teaching you how you don't have to make the whole song, but see which one make 4 tracks that are a little bit of drums and a nice groove to it, and then play them and see which one you groove to in your car and stuff
more than the rest. It's just your ear is going to pick up on what's good and what's not. And everybody works different, so I don't think there's a right and a wrong. This is just what happens to work for me. So like I said, I spend about 2 hours every morning before work. I just kind of, beginning of the month is like new records. Towards the middle, now I'm kind of like fine tuning stuff. And then, towards the end of the month, I'm either finishing off or mastering or whatever, and then start all over.
Hell yeah, man. So, take me through the process, because another step that in a young producer's life is like, how the hell do I get a track signed to a label that I want? So take me through the process of, all right, you've got this song that's finished, and now you want to start pitching it to labels. How do you go about that?
So I should say, I started out producing, 3 years ago, just about. I bought Ableton like July of 2019, I guess. I knew nothing. I tried watching YouTube videos, realized really quick that I'm never going to get anywhere if that's kind of like the way I went about it. So I really quickly realized like I need to do like a course because I do work a full-time job. I run a business. So like trying to fool around on YouTube and Ableton all day long isn't going to do anything for me. So I signed up. I did Toolroom Academy. I did all 3 of their courses like in just sequential, like 1, 2, 3, banged them all out. And in their class, it sounds similar like what Cosmic had taught you, kind of like, the process of making a track, and everybody's a little bit different, but they all sort of tell you the same thing. And in the courses, though, I'm sure Cosmic told you the same thing. Like if you're making a record for Toolroom, use sounds that sound like they should be on the Toolroom record, right? If you're making a record for Box of Cats, it should sound like it belongs on Box of Cats. So the big thing is, before you're even thinking about, how to go about signing into the label, you should be thinking about the sounds you're using in the record. Do they fit on that label, right? So it's going to change. It's going to change the way you think about your kicks, claps, it changes the way you think about everything. Like I have another EP coming out on Coco in August, and the sounds in those records are totally different than the ones that are on Box of Cats. And when you realize that, I think it makes it a lot easier that sound selection is key. And if you're picking the right sounds for the labels you're aiming for, you're that much further ahead than the rest, because most people they're not thinking about it that way.
Dude, that's a great point. No, it's a great point, because one of the things that I've kind of learned over the years is like, or I've done over the years with Chris and the remote controllers stuff.
That's when I first met you. Remember that?
Yeah, hell yeah. When we played Headliner. Shout out to Andre and the Weekend Warriors. Like, oh my God, those freaking guys.
4 years ago?
Probably 4 years ago. It was probably 2018.
Yeah, I think it was 18.
Good
times.
It was at least 2018, if not 2019, because I know it was the summer, and then I did a New Year's show with Shizlo at West and Down in Philly. Shout out him and Bach Nero put us on their New Year's Eve party. That was sick. But then COVID happened. So so it was either the summer 2018 or 2019. And
everything in COVID just kind of like it was there, but didn't really happen.
Yeah. It was like now the past 2 years have kind of like blended together, and like everything that's happened. It's much harder to place years and stuff with that now. It's more of just like it happened during COVID. Like, but one of the things that that really sticks out to me in with your music is not only are you making them for a specific label, but you do have a certain sound, and what has been sort of the process of like, how did you figure out even what kind of music that you wanted to make?
Yeah, that's like the ultimate question, right? So my background, I grew up playing like punk rock music my whole life. So, I played guitar and bass in bands, till through college. I discovered like dance music in 2010, maybe somewhere around there. Picked up DJing shortly after. And like I said, 3 years ago, I was like, I'm going to learn how to produce. Just like, I'm doing it. And when I started, I still have my notebook somewhere in here from the first tool room course for like, who do you want to sound like? And they were like, this is going to be wildly different by the end of the first course. And like, they were right. So I was like Justin Martin and Von Stroke and this and that. And like, by the end of the first class, I had a record that was like way more minimal, way more stripped back, way more like groove based than what I was originally trying to make. And then I think it's through a process of elimination. Like once you kind of understand like where you want to go with it, if you keep like leaning into it and keeping that in the back of your head, like I'm trying to make, me personally, more like groovy stuff, more stripped back, like very solid grooves, like very Proc and Fitch kind of sound. Like the Box of Cats is like my transition record almost, from my first release on Tool Room, which was like a straight like Tool Room banger. This one, I stripped it back a little bit, but it's still kind of like big sounds and like, more bass driven. And the next release I have, like I said, on Coco is like super stripped back, just really simple groove, real catchy vocal. And just getting there, just continually asking myself, is this the sound you want? Is this what you want to be making? So I think that's how you get there. I don't know if I'm totally where I want to be yet, but I have an idea and just kind of continually aiming for it.
Hell yeah, man. And
I don't know if that answer makes any sense.
No, absolutely. You're basically saying like it's a process, and it takes time. It takes getting to know Ableton. And because I was the same way, man. Like when I first got into production and I first wanted to make music, like even the first couple tracks that Chris and I made before we were technically the remote controllers, we came out with something as Ryan, Janni, and Churs. We were just like two people collabing. Then the next and that was a big room track. Then the next track we came out with was we went by RC, which is again, just Ryan and Chris, and we came out with a track that was a trap drop for the first drop and a hard style drop for the second drop.
Does that make sense?
And then it was wild. It was and then
but you know what? All that experimentation is good.
No, absolutely. And because Chris and I, we came from very different spectrums of electronic music. Like I was the, like you said, in 2010, I was like the Skrillex and fucking Excision and all. I was the heavy dubstep and then it didn't. I was still like a huge fan of that stuff, but then like Dioro and TJR and the Melbourne bounce sound like came into my life, and I was like, this is what I want to make. And I remember saying at the beginning of taking Cosmic, I was like, they were like, what kind of music do you want to make? And I was like, well, I love to listen to Melbourne bounce, but I'm not sure if that's what I want to make. And Zach, I'll never forget it. Zach was like, I love that you just said that, because it's not necessarily the music that you listen to that you're going to make. Like you're going to figure out from getting into Ableton what kind of music you want to make. And it kept, like you said, it kept getting stripped back further and further. It went from all those like the heavy dubstep and stuff sounds. And then Chris and I came out with bass house music, because he came from the trance, techno, minimal tech house side. And we met in the middle at bass house. And now since Chris has gone his separate ways, and I've gone my separate way, I've just been digging deeper and deeper into the dark minimal stuff. And like I've come to love like happy house music is the what I heard. I think Hef said that. But it's a great description. It's like that Annie up sound. It's like that. It's tech house, but with like kind of bass housey sounds, and Shermanology is fucking fire, and Fisher, of course, everybody loves Fisher, but the Chris Lake sound, all of that sort of stuff has become, my favorite, and almost like the more minimal and groovy that it is, the more I love it. So like your kind of music is like the kind of music that I freaking love so freaking much now.
I'm working on one for Black Book, right? It's not for them, but like I'm aiming for Black Book with it.
Hell yeah.
It is. Hope they take it. It's so good. But I think that like you're like the evolution of somebody's sound it's not a straight path, right? You're definitely like, you should experiment and try shit, because happy accidents are usually what leads to like a really good record. Even on this Box of Cats release, like half those sounds in there were just like me screwing around and like, oh shit, that sounds cool. So I don't think anybody ever gets to like, I sound like this, and this is how you should always be sort of like evolving and progressing and trying sounds. And if you want to strip stuff back, cool, but maybe don't be afraid to throw a bigger hat on. You know what I mean? Like try stuff.
Yeah, that's sort of back up your point. Like look at all the biggest artists who have lasted over the last 10 to 12 years. Like none of them are making the same sounding music that they were making 10 years ago. They've all evolved, and some of that is like with the times and what's popular, and some of that is just they're experimenting, because some of those guys were ahead of the curve with getting into more housey sounds and stuff like that. And then you have someone like Oliver Heldens, who's like, I love he makes like happy, kind of more future housey songs. But then he's got high low, because he's like, I want to make some dark, deep bass, centered stuff.
The other thing too, like I was told this like in one of the courses, like if you're gonna do like a really radically different sound, don't do it under the same name. Do it as like an alter ego or a different name, because the one thing, and I learned this from Tool Room, is like, if you're going to market yourself, like, all right, Danner makes sort of like stripped back minimal tech. If I came out with like a melodic trance record under Danner, people are like, well, what the fuck is this? Right. So they're saying like, if you're going to do that, like just do it under two different projects. So that way you have different branding, different marketing. Because when you are trying to get signed, labels do look at like your release history to see like, okay, yeah, this makes sense to sign this guy or gal or whatever. Or no, it doesn't, because they're just kind of like genre hopping to get onto whatever. So I don't know if that is necessarily totally true, but that's what I was taught anyway. Like stick within the bounds, I guess, of whatever sound you're trying to make.
And so it's like, I think that's very important for especially a newer producer to kind of adhere to that. Like I never want to tell someone like, box yourself in and do only one thing, but at the same time, like if you're building your resume and you're going out for a job, like, and they're looking at your past history and you're five years in to doing this kind of stuff, and you're like, but I want to apply for a job that's something completely different over here. They're going to be like, but you have experience doing all this.
Yeah, like why? You're a history teacher. Why are you trying to build rockets?
Yeah. And then on the other side, once you are an established artist, then you have guys like Skrillex can make anything that he wants, right?
He's like, he can genre hop all he wants.
Yeah. Jaws is another one, can make anything. And these are people that run their own labels and stuff too. Yeah. So like, but then you have, one of my favorite, not one of the people that makes the music that's my favorite, but one of my favorite people to have watched evolve over the years has been Eric Prydz, because he's
a legend.
Yeah, like his I'm not gonna lie, I haven't listened to his stuff enough to be like, this is an Eric Prydz track, this is a Cerez D track. Like he's got I think he has 3 or 4 aliases, but it's all different ways of taking the name Eric Prydz and like changing it around and shit. So he's someone who's been like really cool to watch. It's like, and I think with each new alias he's come out with, he's like deeper and darker and then deeper and darker.
No, I think I think from when you're just starting, you should just concentrate on making a clean mix.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Just get good at production.
Like DJing is great. And this is the approach I'm taking anyway, is like I've concentrated on production and not playing out, because I want to play my own music out. So like spent 3 years now getting really good at production. I'm okay. Like I'm not great, but I'm signing now. And now hopefully shows will come, right? Because now I'm on major labels. And hopefully the shows will follow. And even if they don't, I'm just going to continue to get better and better and better at production.
Hell yeah. Right. Well, that's something that I talk about with people. Like I'm sure you've got this question too. Like, how do I get started? How do I get into it? And I always tell them like, don't worry about DJing, just get good at production. Because when you get good at production, then you'll get booked to play your music.
Yeah, that's it.
But like the way I did it was, I wanted to DJ. I knew nothing about music production, and I started getting top 40 gigs around my college town.
DJ wedding, no problem.
Yeah, like all that stuff. And but it was my experience, like that stuff burnt me out from DJing, and I started getting really selective with like gigs that I would take. And but I was focused too much on this is going to be my career. So I would like take smaller jobs and stuff. And so I never gave myself the opportunity to sit and be, have a comfortable sort of income so that I can then just produce music production and do my dream. So like I did all this other stuff that was just taking energy, taking away my time. And it's made me realize like, now it's like, I don't care anymore if I get gigs. Like I need to get better at production. And now that my health coaching business, shout out to all my amazing clients. I love you guys so much and you're crushing it. They're making it so that I first off can like impact people's lives and like change their lives and make them healthier, which is only going to extend their life and like lead to so much more. Like I'm happy that through all of this, I've always exercised and learned about health and fitness. So I have all this knowledge that I can, give to people and show them how to, be more productive and be more consistent. But now that I'm getting to do that, I've freed up a lot more of my own time, because now I'm not trading my time for money anymore. I'm trading my knowledge for money. And what that's opened up for me is more time in the day, instead of, working a training job that could be anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day, concentrating on that stuff and then coming home and being burnt. Now it's like I have, a couple hours a day where I'm helping out these clients and stuff and reaching out to new clients. And then I have a couple hours a day that I can focus on my own workouts and music production. It's like, I'm so grateful that I've finally figured out a way that this can all, work and mold together. And since I treat my body so well and I'm so healthy, like I don't care how long it takes. I just want to get good at production, and I want to get even better at being a health coach, and I want these two things to sort of evolve together and come up together, and because they're the two things that I love the most, like fitness and music. And then we'll throw art in there, but I'm a fan of art. I'm a fan of comedy. Like those two things are like other things that I love, but I love that I get to now, I get to do everything that I love now. It's fucking beautiful.
Then you can never have a bad day, right?
Exactly. Right. And I've also seen the other side of it, where now that I'm, I'm out in Philly, and I'm going out to a lot more shows and stuff, and I'm supporting a lot more of my friends that are artists. Like my body is now telling me, Ryan, you need to get more sleep. One, because you're training for states, and two, because all this stuff is great that you do for your health, but if you're not getting sleep, in my life, that's been the biggest detriment to my health. And like for the 4 days before yesterday, I was sick as hell and bedridden. It was freaking, God, felt like I got hit by a freaking bus, man. Yeah. It was wild. But whether it was COVID or the flu or whatever, I'm able to bounce back from it because of how, I treat my body and from getting more sleep now. So like that's another thing. So that is a long-winded answer and transition into how freaking awesome it is that not only are you an incredible surfer, but now you started this awesome Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu journey. So take me through like your experience over the past couple of weeks getting started with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and what it's done for you.
I'm still in the completely getting my ass kicked phase of it. I'm told this will last about 2 years. But I met a guy who runs a local Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym in my area. And he was like kind of learning how to surf. I've surfed my entire life. And I was like, hey, I'm interested in Jiu-Jitsu. Maybe we can we'll try swap lessons or whatever. So I went in, did like the trial class, and it was at a blast. So I signed up immediately for like the year subscription or whatever. And it's good. And for me, it's, I'm not really so much worried about the self-defense aspect of it. I like it more for the fitness aspect and also the mental challenge of it, because it's not really about being like the biggest guy or whatever. It's about being kind of like the most, using your body in the most intelligent way to submit your opponent. So size has nothing to do with it. I'm 5'10", and I got a 6'6" dude to submit the other week. It was pretty cool.
That's friggin', that's one of the best and coolest things about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like it does not matter who you are, what size you are, how strong you are. It's all about technique and stuff. So
yeah.
Take me through your first experience at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Just getting completely manhandled was great.
Yeah.
So I have no background in wrestling, no background. I surf and skateboard and ride bikes. So going into jiu-jitsu was totally foreign. You might as well drop me another planet. So you go through like the warm-ups and stuff where you're doing laps and push-ups and all that, which is fine. And the first, I guess, half of the class is like teaching you different positions and maneuvers, whatever you want to call it. And you go through it and you go real slow. So you're like, all right, I got it, and twisting and turning, whatever. And then you do like live training. And that's when like the hurt happens. No, but it's super fun. I had an absolute blast. That's why I immediately signed up. The whole sort of environment is really, really, there's a lot of camaraderie because I joke about it. Like, I'm brand new, I know nothing, but there's, 6 or 7 guys there that were brand new and knew nothing 2 months ago. And now, and everybody kind of teaches down the chain of command, I guess, where, the blacks are teaching the brown belts and brown, the blue, whatever. And nobody judges you. Nobody cares where you're coming from. Nobody cares about your background. They're there to get better at this sport, this art. And they're there to also help you get better at this sport and art, or whatever you want to call it. It's a really cool environment. I think I was telling you before we started, I hurt my back this week. So I have the week off, just supposed to be like laying on the couch and doing nothing, but I'm like itching to get back in the gym and get back to it.
Dude. And that's it right there, man. Like, whatever people think that fitness has to be weight training, or it has to be cardio, like running long distance or biking long distance and stuff like that. But like, it's whatever you find that makes you want to keep doing it. Yeah. Just keep doing that and you'll find success. And especially with a martial arts thing, like you're learning about so many different, aspects to it, like the discipline and the respect for another person, like all these like minor other lessons that you get are all encompassing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You know what I mean? Like, so, it might be a little bit early for you to, start talking about that sort of stuff, but you kind of touched on it. Like, no one cares how much or little experience you have. Like, everyone there is supporting each other.
Yeah. If you're showing up and you're ready to work, like that's all it really is. And, if you're having fun doing it, it's just that much better. I don't know anybody who would just go to jiu-jitsu if they didn't like it, though, like, because you're getting beat up.
Yeah.
You're getting like thrown around and twisted and whatever. So if you don't like that, I don't know why you would come back, but hey, who knows?
It's like, it's such a, I don't, of course, in today's climate, I can't say it's such a man thing. What's a better way to describe it? It's like a,
dude, there's some chicks
primal.
that are just murderers.
Exactly. It's like a primal thing that everyone can, if they get in there, can tap into and sort of fall in love with this. Because until 100 years ago, like, everybody learned some kind of war. Like, everyone had to
war class.
Yeah, like seriously though, like almost everybody back then, knew how to shoot guns, and then you go further back, like everyone trained in something. I mean, and then if you go even further back, like before civilizations, like it was fighting off freaking tigers and shit and fucking like, like all these different things. So you had to learn how to work, and we're so detached from that. Like it.
Yeah. We can get food delivered by pushing a button on our phone.
Yep. We're so detached from having to do anything to get our food or to.
No, but man, the jiu-jitsu thing is fun. It's good. Like, and we've talked about this. Like, I'm not the gym kind of. I get nothing out of going to the gym. I dread it. Which is why jiu-jitsu for me was great, because it's like almost like a team environment, but you're working on yourself. Almost, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
Like, all of the things I like are like surfing. You do that by yourself, but it's fun when you go with your buddies. BMX, it's really hard. You get better at it by yourself, but it's really fun to do it with a group. Like everything I like is an individualistic kind of sport. Even music production is very individualistic, but it's sweet when you can go play your records out in a club for your friends and everybody goes off.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man.
So for me, jujitsu like checked all the boxes.
That's freaking awesome, man. You know, it's just great to see another person, find that thing that gets them, gets them fired up. And for you, the thing before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and obviously you're not going to stop surfing, and you're even going to teach your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teacher about how to surf and stuff. So take me back to young Danner at the Jersey Shore, and how did you get into surfing, and have you ever done like competitions or anything like that? Like take me your journey through that.
So we'll go back to the rightful age of, I don't know, I'll say I'm 32 now, but that's a lie. When I guess I was like 15 or 16, so I just got my permit. I got a job in a pizzeria. I'm from down by Long Beach Island, New Jersey. So I got a job in Surf City, and one of the delivery guys is a professional surfer, and he gave me a board. Because he's like, "You don't surf," and which was like blasphemy.
Yeah.
I play in a punk band and I ride BMX. He's like, "Well, you surf now." And like the next day or a couple of days later, he showed up and gave me a board, and that was it. Started just paddling out every morning before work, and here we are 20 something years later, still surfing.
Hell yeah. And where's like, have you ever like traveled and surfed?
Oh yeah. I've been everywhere. Did a trip to Indo. Fuck, it was like 3 years ago now. Been all over the Caribbean, California. Was at Slater's Surf Ranch a while back. Yeah, I've been all over the place, man. Traveling is one of the parts of surfing that make it so enjoyable. Is like going to different places in the world and like checking out different cultures, different music, and then getting like really good waves is just like the cherry on top.
Has that like shaped your travel plans? Is that like, if I'm gonna travel, it has to be somewhere I can surf? Is that like a thing?
If I had my way, every trip would be a surf trip. But when you're in a relationship, you have to. No, we go
through that. Respect to the lady.
But we go on a lot of fun trips, and more often than not, there is at least a day or two of getting in the water.
Hell yeah, man. So what's like your favorite place that you've surfed?
That's a tough one, because every spot is so different and the experience is so different. So like for just like purely surfing, Kelly Slater's hands down the best wave on the planet. The best. Like there's no wave better than the Surf Ranch. And
so for someone who has no idea what you're talking about, explain what Kelly Slater Surf Ranch is.
So the ranch is a man-made wave pool in the middle of the desert in Lemoore, California, and it produces a perfect 6 to 8 foot wave every like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. But it's like, if you Google it or YouTube it, you'll be like, oh shit, that's insane. It's the most crazy thing you'll ever see in your life. They literally have like a locomotive that drags a plow like underwater, and it makes this insane wave. So from a purely surf point of view, that is probably for me, the best spot. For like experience wise and great waves, Indo is unbelievable. We did, I think it was like 14 days on a boat, and we just sailed around the different reefs in the Menawais and surfed like every famous wave that you've seen in magazines.
And something that you turned me on to, because I remember us talking about the off season versus in season. So is it like that around the world, where the winter months are the
no season? Different places in the world, there's like different seasons. So like I was telling you, like in New Jersey, the waves are just better in the middle of the winter, because we have more, you have more like storms and more nor'easters and more atmospheric events that produce waves, right? Same thing around the world. It doesn't have to be winter or summer. It just happens to be here. It's winter.
Dude, and it's so funny, because like anybody that knows the Jersey Shore is you're talking about this very casually, because the water in the summer is ice cold. But you're talking about the dead of winter going out into that water
like
where
38,
people
42, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and people do what's called a polar plunge once a year where they run in and run out because it's so cold. And you're talking about going in day after day in the winter.
You should check out
freezing cold.
This dude Rob Kelly from Ocean City, New Jersey he surfed every day this winter in no wetsuit. And it was super crazy to see. And it was inspiring because he fucking got in that water, man. And he went out and he at least caught one wave, or I don't know if there's a time limit, but he literally he vlogged it every day. Yep, going for my surf. And there he is in a snowstorm in boardies, paddling out in Ocean City, getting a wave, running back in and freezing. But by the end of the winter, you could see there was a total change in it went from fear to yeah, I got this. It's fine. It was really cool to see that part of it.
That's so interesting that you put it that way, because every morning I take a cold shower and I put the temperature all the way to the cold. And some mornings I'm just all right, turn it on, get in. It barely phases me. I get the cold water on. And for those of you that don't know, there's so many benefits to cold water on your skin. It's not just like holding an ice pack on your shoulder. There's way more benefits to it. It benefits your skin, it benefits your immune system, it benefits your sinuses, your adrenaline gland, your control. Like you said, the guy went from fear to I got this. Well, if you can do that, that can translate to so many areas of your life.
Yeah.
But like I said, every morning, some mornings I'm fuck, I don't want to do it today, but I've forced myself, I have to do it. And but then other days I'm just all right, let's get this day started. And I jump in there and it's easy. So it's cool to see, that on a way bigger scale, because to catch one wave, you
paddle out.
And you're in the water for what, 20 minutes probably?
I mean, if you're quick, you could get one in a couple minutes. But yeah, you're not in there. You're not jumping in, jumping out. He would legit paddle out, wait for a wave, then catch it, surf it, and then come. It's impressive. And the water is 34.
Yeah. The only reason why it's not getting lower than 32 is because it won't freeze because of the salt.
Yeah. It's crazy. You should check him out. It's Rob Kelly. It was really cool to watch it all winter.
Hell yeah, man. So with surfing now, one thing that I've heard, because I listen. So shout out. I think once a podcast I bring up Bert Kreischer. he's the machine. And he has gotten so into surfing, not doing it, just become a big fan of it.
Oh, and really?
He was talking to some surfer, but he was talking to Tom Segura on Two Bears, One Cave about what he said. And he said that the youth today are going to be way better at surfing than the pro surfers now, because they have access to these wave pools. And so with repetition, you can catch a wave every 5-10 minutes. Whereas out in, if you're going out in the water, you can't catch a wave every 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, it's almost a different sport at that point. It really is. Because in a pool, when you're at Slater's, it's the same wave. There's 3 modes. You tell them which one you want. But it's the same wave every time. Where in the ocean, you're playing with currents, tides, wind, swell, it's different every time. So yeah, it's almost a totally different. You can't even really judge it the same, because it's nowhere near. It's a totally different approach.
Yeah, it's literally it's drastically changing the sport. And so for anybody who's not into surfing, start watching surfing, because it's about to get even more insane than it already is.
Too is fast forward 10 years and you have somebody who's only surfed in a pool and somebody who's only surfed in the ocean, and then they can swap. And you see kind of like who picks it up better. I would personally, and I have no scientific backing behind this, but I would say the person who learns how to surf in the ocean will surf better in the pool than vice versa.
I see why you would say that, and I'm gonna give a little devil's advocate kind of thing,
because I have no basis behind that thought.
So now, when you have someone who has grown up in the ocean versus someone who's grown up in the pool, and now they both have 10 years experience surfing. Now, about how many waves would you say you caught per session in the ocean growing up in dude, you're someone also who grew up in Jersey versus someone who grew up in California or Florida. That's the
other thing. It's totally different. If you're in California, you can go surf every day. It's flat as shit here right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be flat for who knows how long.
Unless we get a hurricane. Shout out.
It's crazy, but it's a good point because in Jersey, we'll get really good waves for a day, maybe two. The rare occurrence, in hurricane season, you'll get 3 days, which is even rare though. Versus California, it's waist high every day. You can go surf every day.
It's freaking so cool, man.
But Kelly Slater is still the best. He's from Florida. Shout out Kelly.
Yeah, I mean he's the GOAT.
He's 50. He's still hands down the best surfer on the planet.
Right. It's wild. It's so cool to see, because obviously you look at him, he's someone who clearly takes good care of himself and has been able to have longevity in the sport and all the people that Cristiano Ronaldo and Tom Brady and who's another great example. Actually, and now here's an outlier, Alexander Ovechkin. All those guys, except Ovechkin, take incredible care of their body. They eat extremely well. They work out. They do everything they need to be this healthy athlete well into the years where most athletes are done. But then you have Ovechkin. Ovechkin is you saw him when he won the Stanley Cup.
Well, I don't follow hockey too much, but I know the name.
So Alexander Ovechkin, when the Capitals won the Stanley Cup, that dude took that Stanley Cup everywhere, drank beer out of it, and freaking was shotgunning and was partying until the next season started.
Oh, Jesus.
It was, but he's an insanely good hockey player from Russia who's now challenging he's challenging for Gretzky's all-time goals record.
Oh wow, no shit.
Yeah. So he's been really good for a long period of time. Now, the only difference between him and Gretzky is Gretzky has over twice as many assists as he does goals, and Ovechkin has half as many assists as he has goals. So the points record, it looks like this.
Yeah.
Gretzky up here and Ovechkin here, but the goals record, it's I think if he plays another 2 years and gets 40 goals each, he'll have it. But Gretzky's points record is insane. That's why he's the great one. Gretzky has the biggest disparity from the best in his sport to second best in his sport in any sport, any of the major sports, right? Because people can question Jordan and question LeBron. People can be football. It's a toss up. There's, Tom Brady might be the best, but then you still have people that but that's just at quarterback. That's not there's so many other positions.
It's a team sport. That's the other thing, right?
So Gretzky, you put him and there's no one that's in the conversation that might also be the best ever. It's Gretzky's the best ever. And that's it. And I'm getting deep in this because I grew up playing hockey.
He's a hockey player.
So but I digress. I do want to bring it back home because you said you grew up playing in punk rock bands and stuff like this. So I do want to bring it back to to music. So what are some of the things that's helped you from having that sort of music background with music production?
That's a good question. I don't know. I grew up, I took like theory classes. I was in the choir. I was a fucking band dork, right? Anything with an instrument, I was all about it. So I can't imagine that doesn't hurt. I'm not playing guitars or anything in my records. I am toying around with playing live bass onto some tracks, but I think the one thing I do take away from it is I appreciate a good song structure, right? So when I'm coming up with track ideas, I'm referencing stuff, and I might even when I first start a track, I'll copy the structure of the reference. But by the time I get to the finished product, it's completely different. And I think having a background in music helps me sort of appreciate, you don't have to have the 16 bar intro, drop, mini build, and then groove, drop, build, drop. It doesn't have to be like that. You can kind of fuck around with it and be sort of unique with how you approach a song structure, as long as the groove is strong in it, and when you play it from start to finish, it makes some sort of sense, right? So I don't know if I picked that up from writing music, since I was a kid, but I can't see how it hasn't helped.
Dude, I can just picture it now, you DJing with that freaking bass up there and just slapping the fuck out of that with those grooves that you make, dude. Oh my God. That would be so sick. And cause so many people, not so many, it's not so many at all, but there are, plenty of artists that have a guitarist on stage, or they play guitar. And then of course you got Grizz and stuff with the sax, but
Grizz with the sax and Big
G
and and then, Grammatic will have guitar players sometimes, so it's definitely cool. I've always wanted to do a DJ punk rock kind of, I don't know, I'm toying around with stuff, but a pop punk, but have everything else being DJ'd. I don't know, we'll see. It's a side project I'm screwing around with.
So Griffin doesn't make that kind of music, but a Griffin and who's a Robert DeLong, where you play the instrument and have a beat pad that activates the sort of thing. Is that kind of what you're
things? I was just leaning more towards program half the song and play rhythm guitar over it, and you could be the front man for your band, but the whole band is you. Or maybe a singer, because I fucking suck at singing.
Well, that is a whole nother instrument that people there's experts at everything, and when a song like Lazy Sunday doesn't quite have a vocal like that, but that new project that you got, I'm excited. I hope you really do come through and do that. That'll be another, obviously, like you said, it's not going to be a Danner thing. I wonder what's the project name
off the ground first before we start doing other shit, but one day.
Hell yeah, man. Well, Danner, thank you. This has been fucking awesome, man. I'm so happy to expose you to the people that have been following the Free Yourself podcast and stuff.
It's awesome to be here,
dude. You've helped me so much with music production. You've made it so you've brought it home and made it even so much more simpler for me, and I really appreciate that, man. And you're such a good person, and you're so kind and genuine. You're always ready to help people. So for people to see and support you, clearly you're doing something right when it comes to music production and getting onto the labels that you're going for and stuff. So I can't wait to see how far your career goes, man. It's been awesome to freaking watch, brother.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate it. Who would have thought all those years back at Headliner? I was like, yeah, I'm learning how to produce music. And he was like, yeah, sure.
Hell yeah, man. we were all struggling back then.
Yeah.
We were Ableton is hard.
Yeah. No, it's cool to see everybody's journeys and you taking off with the fitness and everything. And, I appreciate you having me on, because it's I'm here in my own little bubble down by the beach. It's funny, Philly's only an hour away, but it just seems like it, getting out 95 sometimes just seems like the impossible challenge. So
right. Well, it is the summer, and you do live at the Jersey Shore, so
the beach.
I will see you soon, brother.
We are trying to set up some shows around here locally, so we'll be talking to people for sure.
Hell yeah, man. So thank you again for coming on the Free Soul Podcast, brother. I love you to death, man.
Thanks,
and
sir.
to everybody that tuned in and hung with us the whole time, thank you. Thank you.
I will say, if anybody watching does have like production questions, don't be shy. Like, I might not get back to you super quick, but listen, I learned from somebody, and I'm here to like pass on the little amount of knowledge that I have. So
hell yeah, man. And well, most importantly, where do they find you? How do they find you? How do they find your music?
Danner Music on Instagram. I have it on Twitter too, but I rarely use Twitter just because I don't know. I don't get Twitter. But yeah, Instagram, that's the best spot to find me. SoundCloud, you can find some of my tunes. Yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah, brother. Everybody check out Danner Music. Lazy Sunday out on Box of Cats. Everybody go get it on Beatport. Stream that shit. Run them numbers up. I love you guys. Danner, I love you, brother.
Later, bro.
Love, unity,
love,
respect. We're out.